It was one of those nights when the air was cool, but not too chilly, and the sea breeze carried with it a promise of mystery. Finn O'Connor had just returned home from a long day at the Brighton Bay Gazette, eager to relax with a book when the town fell into darkness. The power outage, unexpected and jarring, draped Brighton Bay in a blanket of shadows. The moon, bright and luminous, was the town's only source of light. Finn looked out from his small apartment window, taking in the sight of the normally vibrant town now quiet and still. The outlines of the houses, the cobblestone streets, and the distant lighthouse were only faintly visible under the moonlight. A sense of unease, like a shadow creeping closer, settled over the town. "Power's out," Finn muttered to himself, lighting a candle and placing it on the windowsill. As he gazed out, he noticed movement in the street below. Figures darted through the darkness, their hurried steps echoing off the buildings. Finn's curiosity, always a demanding master, urged him to investigate. He grabbed his notebook and camera, tools of his trade, and stepped out into the cool night. The town was buzzing with confused whispers and hurried conversations as people emerged from their homes, trying to make sense of the sudden blackout. "What's going on?" Finn thought to himself as he walked towards the town square, where a small crowd had gathered. The scene was chaotic, with voices overlapping and anxiety rising. It was then that he saw Mrs. Thompson, the owner of the local bakery, talking frantically to a group of neighbors. "Have you seen Martha?" she asked, her voice trembling with worry. "I can't find her anywhere." Martha, the town's beloved librarian, was known for her kindness and her love of books. She was always the first to help and the last to leave. The news of her disappearance spread through the crowd like wildfire, igniting a sense of dread. Finn's heart raced. Martha was not only a pillar of the community, but also a close friend. She had been a mentor to him, guiding him in his early days as a journalist. The thought of her being in danger was unbearable. Where could she have gone? Finn wondered, his mind racing with possibilities. He quickly made his way to the library, hoping to find some clue. The building loomed in the darkness, its windows dark and unwelcoming. Finn's steps echoed on the wooden floor as he entered, the faint smell of old books filling the air. As he searched, a flicker of light caught his eye. A candle, burning low, sat on the librarian's desk. Next to it, a piece of paper, hastily scribbled, lay in plain view. Finn picked it up, his heart pounding as he read the words. "Find the truth, Finn. They can't hide it forever." The note wasn't signed, but the handwriting was unmistakable. It was Martha's. Finn's mind raced with questions, his determination growing with each passing moment. "This can't be happening," he thought, a sense of dread settling over him. But beneath that fear was a spark of resolve. He knew, in that moment, that he couldn't rest until he found her and uncovered the truth behind her disappearance. As Finn stepped out of the library, the night seemed darker than before. The town, usually so vibrant, felt cold and unfamiliar. But in the distance, the lighthouse stood as a silent beacon, guiding him forward. With the note clutched in his hand, Finn knew his journey had only just begun. As Finn left the library and stepped back into the night, the once comforting streets of Brighton Bay felt transformed, as if harboring secrets waiting to be uncovered. The town, usually alive with the sounds of laughter and conversation, was now filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the distant crashing of waves against the rocky shore. The moon's pale light bathed the town in a silver hue, casting elongated shadows that seemed to twist and dance around Finn as he made his way to the town square. He paused for a moment, looking up at the lighthouse standing sentinel on the hill, its rotating beacon slicing through the darkness. "What did you get yourself into, Martha?" Finn thought, the cryptic note clutched in his hand. He couldn't fathom what trouble could have driven his mentor to leave such a message, or why she would vanish without a trace. The thought tugged at him, a constant reminder of the stakes at play. As he walked, Finn noticed a small group of people gathered around a flickering street lamp, the only light besides the moon in the entire square. Their faces were lit with a mixture of fear and curiosity as they spoke in hushed tones. Mrs. Thompson, who had earlier raised the alarm about Martha's disappearance, was among them, her eyes wide with worry. "Do you think she was taken?" someone whispered, their voice barely audible over the rustling wind. "Or did she run away?" another voice countered, laden with doubt. Finn stepped closer, his journalistic instincts kicking in. "Excuse me, Mrs. Thompson," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Did Martha mention anything unusual before she disappeared?" Mrs. Thompson shook her head, her hands wringing nervously. "No, she didn't say a word. I just hope she's okay." Finn's gaze swept over the group, his mind racing. Could Martha have left because of something she found out? He wondered. The librarian had always been meticulous, always one step ahead. If she had discovered something troubling, she would have tried to fix it. As Finn pondered this, a deep voice interrupted his thoughts. "You're Finn O'Connor, right? The journalist?" Finn turned to see a tall man with dark, piercing eyes and an air of authority. It was Lord Damien Blackwood, the wealthy newcomer who had recently moved into the old Blackwood Manor overlooking the town. "Yes, that's right," Finn replied, eyeing Blackwood with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. The man's reputation preceded him. His intentions for Brighton Bay were the subject of much speculation. "You're wasting your time," Blackwood said, a smirk playing on his lips. "Martha probably just needed a break from this dreary place." Finn's instincts bristled at Blackwood's dismissive tone. "I don't think Martha would just disappear," he said, matching Blackwood's gaze. "She left a note, and it seemed like a cry for help." Blackwood's expression hardened for a moment before he shrugged. "Suit yourself. But if you keep chasing shadows, you'll find nothing but darkness." As Blackwood walked away, Finn watched him closely. There was something about the man's demeanor that didn't sit right with him, as if he knew more than he was letting on. "Who are you really, Blackwood?" Finn thought, feeling the weight of the cryptic note in his hand. The puzzle pieces were starting to fall into place, but the picture they formed was still unclear. Turning away from the crowd, Finn made his way back towards the town's edge, where the lighthouse stood as a solitary beacon against the night. The wind picked up, whispering through the trees, and Finn felt a new resolve take hold. "Wherever you are, Martha, I promise I'll find you," he thought, his determination unwavering. The darkness around him seemed to thicken, but Finn's resolve shone brightly, guiding him forward. As dawn broke, a delicate mist hung over Brighton Bay, blanketing the town in a gauzy, ethereal light. Finn O'Connor, weary from a restless night, found himself sitting in the small, cozy cafe that overlooked the harbor. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, mixing with the scent of the sea, providing a temporary reprieve from the events of the previous night. Finn's mind raced as he mulled over the cryptic note Martha had left behind. "Find the truth, Finn. They can't hide it forever." Finn reread the note for what felt like the 100th time, his thoughts swirling with questions. What truth was Martha referring to, and who was trying to hide it? The town seemed deceptively peaceful in the early morning light, but Finn knew that beneath the calm surface lay secrets waiting to be uncovered. As he sipped his coffee, a shadow fell across the table. Finn looked up to see Lord Damien Blackwood standing before him, his tall frame imposing even in the relaxed atmosphere of the cafe. Blackwood's dark, piercing eyes met Finn's with a challenging gaze, and for a moment, the air between them seemed to crackle with unspoken tension. "Good morning, Mr. O'Connor," Blackwood said, his voice smooth and measured. "I thought I might find you here." Finn's jaw tightened as he stared at Blackwood. "What do you want?" he asked, his tone clipped. The previous night's encounter had left him with a strong sense of distrust toward the man standing before him. Blackwood smiled, though the expression didn't reach his eyes. "I just wanted to see if you had reconsidered your search for Martha. As I mentioned before, she probably just needed a break." Finn's grip tightened around his coffee cup as he regarded Blackwood. Martha wouldn't just vanish without a word, he thought to himself, feeling a surge of resolve. She left a note, asking for help. I'm not going to ignore that. You don't seem particularly concerned about her, Finn said aloud, his eyes narrowing. Blackwood's smile faded, replaced by a look of mild irritation. You're wasting your time chasing shadows, he said flatly. There's nothing here but old stories and idle gossip. If you're smart, you'll let this go. Finn felt a flash of anger at Blackwood's dismissive tone. There's more to this than meets the eye, and I'm going to find out what it is, he thought determinedly. Aloud, he said, I'll be the judge of that. Blackwood's eyes flashed with something Finn couldn't quite decipher. Was it anger, or perhaps fear, before he turned on his heel and left the cafe without another word. As Finn watched him go, he felt a renewed sense of determination. Blackwood's attempt to dissuade him only strengthened his resolve. Whatever you're hiding, Blackwood, I'll uncover it, Finn thought, his mind racing with possibilities. Finn finished his coffee and left the cafe, heading towards the town square. The day was just beginning, but Finn knew it would be a long one filled with questions that needed answers. The bright morning sunlight contrasted sharply with the darkness of the previous night, but Finn felt that the shadows still lingered, waiting to be revealed. Time to get to work, he thought, setting off with renewed purpose. The town's secrets were out there, and he was determined to uncover them, no matter what Lord Blackwood or anyone else had to say about it. The sun climbed higher, burning away the morning mist and bathing Brighton Bay in a bright, clear light. The town seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief as its inhabitants began their daily routines, unaware of the hidden tensions simmering beneath the surface. Finn O'Connor, however, could sense the unease lurking just out of sight. He made his way toward the town hall, where he hoped to find more information about Martha's disappearance. Finn's thoughts raced as he navigated the cobblestone streets, his mind replaying the recent encounter with Lord Blackwood. There was something distinctly unsettling about the man's demeanor. Why would Blackwood be so dismissive of Martha's disappearance? He wondered, his curiosity only growing stronger. Inside the town hall, Finn found the usually bustling offices surprisingly quiet. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, greeted him with a puzzled expression. Can I help you, Mr. O'Connor? She asked. I'm looking for any records or information about Martha's recent activities, Finn replied. I have reason to believe she may have been researching something important before she vanished. The woman hesitated, then nodded. Martha was always curious about the town's history, she said. She often asked about the old lighthouse and the land surrounding it. Finn's interest piqued. The lighthouse, he thought, recalling the beacon that had guided him through the darkness the night before. He thanked the receptionist and moved toward the town's archives, a small room filled with dusty records and faded photographs. As Finn sifted through the documents, he uncovered a series of old blueprints and maps that detailed the land around Brighton Bay. The lighthouse, it seemed, was part of a larger estate that once belonged to the Blackwood family, dating back several generations. One map, in particular, caught Finn's eye. It showed an underground network of tunnels and chambers beneath the estate, hidden from view. What were you up to, Martha? Finn thought, studying the map. The tunnels appeared to connect the lighthouse to the manor, providing a secret route between the two locations. Finn's mind raced with possibilities, and he felt a renewed sense of urgency. Martha must have discovered something significant, he realized. Something that Blackwood wants to keep hidden. Just as Finn was about to leave the archives, the door creaked open, and a young woman entered. She looked around nervously before approaching Finn. You're Finn O'Connor, right? She asked in a hushed tone. Finn nodded, his curiosity piqued. Yes, that's me. The woman glanced around again before leaning in closer. I think I have something you need to see, she whispered, handing Finn a small envelope. Inside, Finn found a photograph of Martha, standing in front of the lighthouse, holding an ancient-looking key. "She gave me this just before she disappeared," the woman explained. "She told me to give it to you if anything happened to her." Finn examined the photograph, his mind racing with questions. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with resolve. "I'll find out what happened to her." As Finn left the town hall, he felt the weight of the key in his pocket and the urgency of his mission. The sun was high in the sky, but the shadows seemed to grow longer, as if warning him of the dangers ahead. "Whatever secrets you're hiding, Blackwood, I'm going to uncover them," Finn thought, his determination unwavering. With the photograph in hand and the key to a new mystery, Finn set off towards the lighthouse, ready to delve into the hidden depths of Brighton Bay and uncover the truth. Finn made his way along the narrow coastal path, his steps purposeful yet cautious. The photograph of Martha holding the ancient key burned in his pocket, a constant reminder of the secrets that lay hidden beneath Brighton Bay. The sky was a clear, bright blue, and the lighthouse, his destination, loomed ahead, standing tall against the backdrop of the sea. As he approached the lighthouse, Finn's thoughts raced. What could Martha have been looking for here? He wondered, clutching the key tightly. The air around him was filled with the sound of crashing waves and the occasional cry of seagulls, but Finn's focus was unwavering. The lighthouse stood like a sentinel, its worn exterior belying the mysteries it guarded within. Entering the lighthouse, Finn was greeted by a musty smell and a dim interior illuminated by only a few sparse windows. He slowly climbed the spiral staircase, his footsteps echoing in the confined space. When he reached the top, he found a small, dusty room with panoramic views of the town and the sea beyond. Finn paused, scanning the room for any clue that could explain Martha's disappearance. Where do I start? He thought, feeling the weight of the key in his hand. He noticed a rusted, iron trapdoor set into the floor, nearly hidden beneath layers of dust and neglect. Finn knelt down, and with a deep breath, inserted the key into the lock. The key turned with a satisfying click, and the trapdoor creaked open, revealing a dark, narrow tunnel leading downwards. The tunnel was cold and damp, its walls lined with stone. Finn cautiously descended, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. As he moved deeper into the underground chamber, he could hear faint echoes and dripping water. This must be one of the tunnels from the map, he thought, realizing he was on the right track. At the bottom of the tunnel, Finn found a small, hidden chamber filled with old crates and dusty books. He carefully opened one of the crates, revealing a collection of ancient manuscripts and relics. Among the artifacts, he found a journal bound in leather. The pages were filled with meticulous handwriting, detailing the history of the Blackwood family and their connection to the lighthouse. Finn's eyes widened as he read. This is what Martha must have discovered, he thought, piecing together the puzzle. The journal revealed a long-standing feud between the Blackwood family and the town over the ownership of the lighthouse and the surrounding land. The Blackwoods, led by Lord Damien Blackwood, were planning to demolish the lighthouse to build a luxury resort, hiding their true intentions behind a facade of philanthropy. Martha was trying to protect the lighthouse, Finn realized, feeling a mix of admiration and sorrow for his mentor. The journal also hinted at a hidden treasure buried beneath the lighthouse, a treasure that Lord Blackwood was desperately seeking to fund his ambitious plans. As Finn pondered his next move, he heard a faint noise from the tunnel. Someone's coming, he thought, his heart racing. He quickly gathered the journal and other crucial artifacts, preparing to make his escape. Just as he turned to leave, a figure appeared in the doorway, blocking his path. It was Lord Blackwood, his expression a mix of anger and surprise. You should have left well enough alone, Mr. O'Connor, Blackwood said, his voice cold and menacing. Finn stared back, his resolve unbroken. I'm not going to let you destroy this town, he thought defiantly. Aloud, he said, the truth needs to be told. Blackwood stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with malice. We'll see about that, he said, reaching for something hidden beneath his coat. The two men stood facing each other, the hidden chamber filled with the tension of their confrontation. Outside, the lighthouse stood tall, its beacon of light sweeping across the darkening sky as if watching over the unfolding drama below. The hidden chamber seemed to shrink as Finn and Blackwood faced off, their confrontation heavy with unspoken threats. The dim light from above barely illuminated their faces, casting deep shadows that mirrored the conflict between them. Finn's mind raced as he considered his options. How can I outmaneuver him? He thought, weighing the journal in his hand. The evidence he held was damning, but Blackwood was not a man to be easily defeated. The Lord's eyes, sharp and calculating, glinted with a dangerous resolve that matched Finn's own determination. You're out of your depth, O'Connor, Blackwood said, his voice dripping with contempt. This town and its secrets are none of your concern. Finn's jaw clenched, and he felt a surge of defiance. This town is my home, and I won't let you destroy it, he thought fiercely. Aloud, he replied, Martha trusted me to protect the lighthouse and the people of Brighton Bay. I'm not going to let you ruin everything. Blackwood's expression twisted with anger, and he lunged forward, pulling a small, sinister-looking device from beneath his coat. You're meddling in things you don't understand, he hissed, his voice filled with menace. Finn dodged to the side, narrowly avoiding Blackwood's attempt to grab him. In the confined space, the two men grappled, their struggle sending echoes through the tunnels. Finn's heart pounded as he fought to keep hold of the journal, knowing it was the key to exposing Blackwood's schemes. As they wrestled, Finn's hand brushed against a lever on the wall. Without thinking, he pulled it, and the chamber was suddenly illuminated by a series of hidden lights, revealing a vast underground complex filled with artifacts and treasures. This is what you were after, wasn't it? Finn thought, eyeing the treasures. Blackwood's face paled as he looked around, his anger replaced by a flicker of fear. Before Blackwood could react, Finn used the momentary distraction to break free and run towards the tunnel. The underground passage twisted and turned, and Finn's mind raced as he tried to remember the layout from the map. He could hear Blackwood's footsteps close behind, and his heart pounded with a mixture of fear and determination. Almost there, he thought, catching sight of the faint light that marked the exit. As he burst out of the tunnel and into the open air, the evening sky greeted him, painted with hues of orange and red as the sun set over the sea. Finn ran toward the lighthouse, his breath coming in gasps. Behind him, Blackwood emerged from the tunnel, his face twisted with rage. The Lord reached into his coat again, this time producing a small, sleek device that emitted a high-pitched sound. Finn stumbled, clutching his ears as the sound filled the air. What is that? He thought, his vision blurring. The device was some kind of disorienting weapon, and Finn felt his resolve falter as the sound grew louder. In his daze, Finn stumbled into the lighthouse seeking refuge. The interior was dark, but the familiar structure offered some comfort. As he climbed the stairs, he heard Blackwood's voice echoing below. You can't hide forever, O'Connor! Finn reached the top, his mind racing with plans. He needed to expose Blackwood's schemes and save the lighthouse. The beacon's light swept across the darkening sky, and Finn felt a surge of hope. I have to warn the town, he thought, his resolve strengthening. Looking down, Finn saw Blackwood advancing, the device in hand. This ends now, Finn thought, grabbing a flare from the lighthouse's emergency kit. He lit it and threw it down the stairwell, hoping to create a distraction. The flare exploded in a burst of light, and Blackwood yelled, his plan foiled. Finn used the opportunity to escape, descending the stairs and running toward the town square, the journal in hand. The light from the flare and the lighthouse beacon lit his way, guiding him back to Brighton Bay. As Finn ran, he felt a renewed sense of determination. The shadows of the past had threatened to consume the town, but he was resolved to bring the truth to light. The lighthouse, a beacon of hope and guidance, stood as a silent witness to his resolve. I won't let you down, Martha, Finn thought, racing toward his destiny. Finn's sprint back to the town square seemed to stretch on forever. Each step was fueled by the adrenaline coursing through his veins, the journal clutched tightly to his chest as if it were the key to saving Brighton Bay. The sky, now a tapestry of twilight, seemed to mirror the urgency of his mission, dark clouds looming ominously on the horizon. As he burst into the town square, panting and wild-eyed, Finn was greeted by the bewildered stares of the townspeople. They had gathered for the evening market, their faces a mix of curiosity and concern as they noticed Finn's disheveled appearance. "What's happened, Finn?" Mrs. Thompson asked, her voice trembling with worry. She was clutching a basket of fresh bread, her usual cheerful demeanor replaced with unease. Finn hesitated, his mind racing. How do I explain this to them? He thought, feeling the weight of the truth pressing down on him. He knew he needed to be careful, not only for his own safety but for the safety of the town. "Lord Blackwood, he's planning to destroy the lighthouse," Finn said, his voice loud enough to capture everyone's attention. "He wants to turn the land into a luxury resort, and he'll stop at nothing to get what he wants." The crowd murmured in shock, and Finn could see the fear spreading across their faces. "He's got a device," Finn continued, his voice urgent. "Something dangerous. He's trying to stop anyone from uncovering the truth about his plans." "How can we believe you?" a voice called out from the back of the crowd. It was one of Blackwood's men, his face twisted in skepticism. "You've always had it out for Lord Blackwood. How do we know this isn't just another one of your wild stories?" Finn's mind raced, the journal feeling heavier in his grasp. "This isn't a story," he thought, his heart pounding. Aloud he said, "I have proof." He held up the journal, its pages filled with evidence of Blackwood's deceit. Before Finn could say more, a loud crash echoed through the square. The crowd turned to see Lord Blackwood standing at the entrance to the square, his eyes blazing with anger. He held the same sleek device from before, and as he activated it, a high-pitched sound filled the air. The townspeople clutched their ears, their faces contorted in pain. Finn fought through the noise, his resolve unwavering. "This is it," he thought, feeling the weight of the moment. "Now or never." He stepped forward, the journal in hand, and shouted, "Blackwood has been lying to you. He wants to destroy the town for his own gain." He opened the journal, showing the pages filled with Blackwood's plans and the history of the lighthouse. The crowd stared, their faces a mix of shock and anger. Blackwood's expression twisted with rage as he realized his plans were unraveling. "You should have left well enough alone, O'Connor," he spat, his voice filled with venom. But Finn stood his ground, the truth finally out in the open. The townspeople, their eyes open to the truth, began to rally around Finn, their voices rising in a chorus of defiance. "We won't let you destroy our home," they cried, their resolve matching Finn's own. As the townspeople advanced on Blackwood, Finn felt a surge of relief. "We did it, Martha," he thought, a smile breaking across his face. "We saved the lighthouse." The square erupted into chaos as Blackwood's men tried to push back, but the townspeople were united in their defense of the town. Finn, exhausted but triumphant, watched as Blackwood was taken away, his plans foiled by the resilience of Brighton Bay. In the aftermath, as the town celebrated their victory, Finn stood by the lighthouse, the beacon of hope and guidance that had inspired him. "We did it," he thought, a sense of peace settling over him. The lighthouse stood as a symbol of their triumph, a testament to the power of truth and the courage to stand up for what's right. The following morning, Brighton Bay woke up to a newfound sense of hope and relief. The storm clouds that had loomed ominously on the horizon the previous night had given way to a clear, bright sky, as if the heavens were reflecting the town's triumph over Lord Blackwood's nefarious plans. The streets, usually quiet at this hour, were alive with chatter and laughter, the townspeople eager to share their stories of the previous evening's events. Finn O'Connor stood in front of the lighthouse, his eyes fixed on the horizon where the sun was rising, casting a golden glow over the sea. The air was crisp, and a gentle breeze carried the sound of the waves breaking against the shore. The lighthouse, now secure and safe from demolition, stood as a proud sentinel, its beacon of light a reminder of the town's resilience. She would have been proud, Finn thought, remembering Martha's unwavering dedication to the lighthouse. Her courage and determination had inspired him to continue her fight, and now, standing before the beacon she loved so much, he felt a deep sense of gratitude and fulfillment. As he gazed at the sea, Finn was joined by Mrs. Thompson, who had become one of his staunchest supporters during the ordeal. "Good morning, Finn," she said, her voice warm and filled with pride. "You've done something truly remarkable." Finn turned to her, a smile playing on his lips. "We did it together," he replied, his tone humble. He knew that the town's victory had been a collective effort, and he was proud to have been a part of it. The two stood in silence for a moment, watching as the town slowly came to life. The events of the previous night seemed like a distant memory, replaced by the promise of a new beginning. Finn felt a sense of peace settle over him, knowing that Brighton Bay was safe and that the truth had prevailed. Just then, Finn noticed a small figure approaching the lighthouse. It was the young woman who had given him the photograph of Martha. Her face was lit with a bright smile as she approached, holding something in her hands. "Finn," she called out, her voice filled with excitement. "Look what I found!" Finn and Mrs. Thompson exchanged curious glances before turning their attention to the young woman. She handed Finn a small, ornate box, its surface intricately carved with symbols and designs. Finn opened the box to reveal a key, similar to the one Martha had given him, but even more elaborate. "Martha must have hidden this as well," the young woman explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "It looks like it fits the same lock you opened before." Finn examined the key, a mixture of curiosity and determination filling him once again. What else could she have been protecting? He thought, feeling a familiar surge of resolve. Aloud, he said, "It seems like our work isn't finished yet." Mrs. Thompson chuckled, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Well, Finn, if anyone can uncover the rest of Martha's secrets, it's you," she said, her voice filled with encouragement. The three of them stood together, their hearts filled with hope and anticipation for the future. Brighton Bay was a town built on resilience and courage, and they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Finn felt a renewed sense of purpose. The lighthouse, once a symbol of uncertainty and fear, now stood as a beacon of hope and guidance, its light illuminating the path forward. Finn knew that, like the lighthouse, he would continue to stand firm, ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, they turned towards the town, the dawn of a new day stretching out before them. The future was bright, and with the key to Martha's legacy in hand, Finn knew that the adventure was just beginning. Later that day, Finn O'Connor found himself once again standing inside the lighthouse, staring at the ancient, ornate key in his hand. The lighthouse, now illuminated by the mid-morning sun, seemed to radiate a quiet strength, as if silently encouraging Finn in his quest. The key felt cool and heavy in his grasp, and the intricate carvings on its surface seemed to glow under the light. "What were you hiding, Martha?" Finn thought, his heart racing with anticipation. He glanced at the map of the lighthouse and its underground tunnels that he had retrieved earlier. The map hinted at another hidden chamber, one that was yet to be explored. Determined to honor Martha's legacy, Finn descended the spiral staircase of the lighthouse, moving toward the chamber where he had previously encountered Lord Blackwood. The events of the previous night still lingered in his mind, but the sense of hope and determination he now felt was stronger than any lingering fear. As he reached the chamber, Finn noticed a small, hidden door in the corner. The door was nearly concealed by the shadows and layers of dust that had settled over the years. Finn examined the door closely, noticing an ornate lock that matched the design of the key he held. With a deep breath, Finn inserted the key into the lock and turned it slowly. The lock clicked, and the door swung open with a creak, revealing a small, hidden room. Inside, the chamber was filled with a variety of artifacts and treasures, each more impressive than the last. Finn's eyes widened as he took in the sight before him. The room was filled with ancient relics, maps, and documents, all meticulously preserved. This must be what Martha was trying to protect, he thought, feeling a mix of awe and admiration for his mentor. As he examined the treasures, Finn noticed a large, intricately carved chest in the center of the room. He approached the chest cautiously, his heart pounding with excitement. Opening the chest, he found a collection of letters and documents, all detailing the history of the lighthouse and the surrounding land. Finn carefully read through the documents, his mind racing with the implications. The documents revealed that the lighthouse and the land around it were historically significant, holding great cultural and historical value. The letters, written by Martha, detailed her efforts to protect the lighthouse from those who sought to destroy it for personal gain. She was protecting a legacy, Finn thought, feeling a deep sense of admiration for Martha's dedication. He knew that these documents were crucial to preserving the lighthouse and ensuring that Brighton Bay's history would be safeguarded for future generations. With the documents in hand, Finn returned to the lighthouse, where Mrs. Thompson and the young woman awaited him. Their faces lit up with excitement as Finn shared what he had found. Martha was protecting a treasure, he explained, his voice filled with emotion. She wanted to ensure that the lighthouse would be preserved, not just for us, but for those who come after. Mrs. Thompson's eyes welled with tears as she listened, her voice filled with pride. She was always looking out for us, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. She would be so proud of you, Finn. The young woman smiled, her eyes shining with admiration. You've done something remarkable, she said, her voice filled with respect. Together, they made their way back to the town, where the townspeople were waiting eagerly for news. As Finn shared the story of Martha's hidden treasure and her dedication to the town, the people of Brighton Bay cheered, their hearts filled with pride and gratitude. The lighthouse stood as a beacon of hope and resilience, its light shining brightly against the clear blue sky. As the town celebrated, Finn felt a sense of fulfillment and peace, knowing that he had honored Martha's legacy and safeguarded the future of Brighton Bay. With the key to Martha's treasure safely in hand, Finn knew that the adventure was far from over. The future was bright, and with the support of the town and the memory of Martha's courage, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that Brighton Bay would always stand as a testament to the power of hope and resilience. The evening sky was painted in hues of gold and crimson as the townspeople of Brighton Bay gathered around the lighthouse for a celebratory bonfire. The warm glow of the flames cast dancing shadows on the familiar faces that had supported Finn O'Connor in his journey to protect the town. The atmosphere was filled with a palpable sense of triumph and unity, a testament to their collective resilience. Finn stood on the steps of the lighthouse, looking out over the gathering. The events of the past few days had been a whirlwind, but as he watched the joyful faces of his fellow townspeople, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction and pride. We did it, he thought, the weight of the key in his pocket a comforting reminder of their victory. The sound of laughter and conversation filled the air as the townspeople celebrated their hard-earned success. Mrs. Thompson approached Finn, her face glowing with happiness. It's a beautiful night, isn't it? She said, her voice filled with contentment. Finn nodded, smiling warmly. It's perfect, he replied, feeling a sense of peace settle over him. The lighthouse, now secure and shining brightly, stood as a beacon of their resilience and courage. As the night wore on, the young woman who had given Finn the key joined him on the steps of the lighthouse. She smiled, her eyes reflecting the dancing flames of the bonfire. You did it, Finn, she said, her voice filled with admiration. You saved the lighthouse and the town. Finn shook his head modestly, his voice humble. We did it together, he replied, looking out at the crowd. Martha would have been proud. Together, they watched as the townspeople shared stories and laughter, their spirits high and their hearts light. The bonfire crackled and popped, sending sparks into the night sky, and the lighthouse's beacon continued to shine, a symbol of hope and guidance. "What's next for you, Finn?" the young woman asked, her voice curious. Finn smiled, looking out at the sea. "I think I'll stay here for a while," he replied, his voice thoughtful. "There's still so much to uncover and protect." He felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that Brighton Bay held many more secrets and stories waiting to be discovered. As the night deepened, the celebrations slowly wound down. The townspeople began to drift away, their hearts filled with the joy of a shared victory. Finn lingered on the steps of the lighthouse, watching as the last of the bonfire's flames flickered out. The sky above was clear, dotted with stars, and the sound of the waves breaking against the shore was a soothing lullaby. Finn looked up at the lighthouse, its beacon of light shining brightly against the dark sky. "Thank you, Martha," he thought, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for his mentor's courage and dedication. He knew that the lighthouse would stand as a symbol of their shared legacy, a reminder of the power of hope and resilience. With a final look at the peaceful town of Brighton Bay, Finn turned and entered the lighthouse. The future stretched out before him, filled with endless possibilities and adventures. And as the lighthouse's beacon guided him forward, Finn knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, he would face them with courage and determination, just as Martha had taught him. The night settled over Brighton Bay, and the lighthouse stood as a silent sentinel, its light a beacon of hope and guidance for all who sought its wisdom. And in the heart of the town, Finn O'Connor knew that he had found his place, ready to protect and preserve the legacy of Brighton Bay for generations to come. Thank you for sharing a moment of your day with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Really helps a lot. If you don't, well, I'll still love you. Thanks for stopping by.